Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the live stream. Welcome back to Live with SMWS. My name is Matt Bailey. I'm the National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia. And I like to go as live as often as possible to talk about the good things about whiskey, discuss spirits, explore topics. And it's often interviews, it's often discussions, it's often roundtable, it's often things like digging into individual distillery histories. There's always so much going on, which I love to see. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I can see all these numbers appearing, and I can see people tuning in. And throw your comments, throw your questions, throw all your banter into the comment section. As always, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. Always really appreciate it, and I always really appreciate you coming along, asking questions. Tonight, however, is all about Malt of the Month. It is all about Honey Salad 113.36, of course, because it's Outturn Week. It's Outturn Week, so we're going to have Outturn Week going here, which is extremely exciting. We're discussing a few of the whiskies. Now, if you tuned in last, dare I say, Friday? Yes, it was Friday. R13.2 was reviewed, which is in Outturn, and it's a rum in the Outturn here. I'm not going to be able to find it very quickly, so I'll just go to the contents page. I love it. We've got a contents page. R13.2, ready-made marmalade. That was in February Outturn. Hello, Darren Howie. Thank you so much for tuning in, mate. Always good to see you. Hope you're well up north. It is Outturn Week. As I said, I'm holding a physical copy here. Yes, we do sometimes send out physical copies. When I say sometimes, I mean you have to opt in back into physical if you want them. Just shoot Susie a quick note or reply to an Outturn email, and we'll put you back on the physical list. But otherwise, it's probably best to view it online from the email that we send out with Outturn, as we did last week, as we will again this week. And a comment here. Time to start February and Monday strong with a rant. This has to be the most interesting malt of the month. It's not a rant, actually. I've got no rant. I'm in such a good mood. Nothing to rant about. Not until tomorrow, at least. No, I'm kidding. You know what? I'm going to talk about this whiskey instead. This whiskey is Honey Salad, as I said. We're reviewing 113.36. But when I say reviewing, it's not really a review. It's more sort of a discussion around that particular whiskey. And a look at what is in Malt of the Month so you can learn a bit more about it before you jump in. Why can't I get the video working? Can you not see me? Is there anyone who can't see me? Justin, I'm broadcasting live to Facebook and YouTube right now. Hope you can see me okay. Can you hear me but not see me? That might be an issue on your end, I think, on your tech end. I'm not sure. Evening all. So, yes, I'm going to have a discussion about 113.36. Honey Salad, Malt of the Month. First of all, let's discuss the first thing here. It's our first Outturn of the year. We've got 54 bottles of this available. It's a second fill ex-bourbon barrel. It's in the juicy oak and vanilla flavor profile. So it's not young and sprightly. It is juicy oak and vanilla, which is exciting. 61.8% ABV. And we've reduced it down to $139. $139 for a single cask strength whiskey approved by the expert tasting panel from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I really just want to emphasize that for a second. The value in that bottling is absurd, in my opinion. You can take away from that what you like, but I honestly think living in Australia and being able to access well-aged single cask strength panel approved non-chill filtered natural color whiskey for $139 is not something you can get. That value does not exist in commercial bottlings. It does not exist elsewhere, generally speaking. So, you can now, Justin. Okay, I'm glad that wasn't my end. I think it might be. I'm glad you've sorted that out. Awesome to hear. We go live to Facebook and YouTube. We don't necessarily go live to Instagram. They like to maintain that platform very separate, so you can't really sort of do both. But that's okay. I think we get it. We get some good viewership going on between YouTube and Facebook here. I'm opening this bottle fresh. You can see right here, I'm opening this bottle fresh. I have not tasted this before. This is my first taste of it. You know what? Leave a comment in the section here. You know what? Leave a comment on YouTube or on Facebook. I don't mind either way. Leave a comment and tell me, are you a cap on or cap off? Dave Miller, I think, made a comment about that on a thread in our Facebook community, our group on Facebook, asking, are you cap on or cap off? I vary. Some say if you take the caps off, a little plastic cap off, you can't see the flavor profile across a sea of bottles. Others say that if you leave it on, it sometimes looks like the bottle's still sealed. Cap off in this case. I'm just going to take cap off on this one. Cap on always. Oh, look at this. Okay, cap on. We've got Cap on always, and cap on from Ed there. Okay. Jesse says, can't say they don't offer budget options at SMWS, especially concerning even our on distilleries. Yeah, look, I mean, there's something for everyone in this Outturn. This Outturn has Vaults collection releases for over $1,000. It has a malt of the month for $139. Actually, I missed out on doing the cork. Here we go. There's that sound. What an amazing sound. So I'm going to taste it here live on stream and talk a little bit about this distillery as I let it open up in the glass. So this is Distillery 113. The coding system, I'm sure many of you already know, means it's the 113th distillery to join the society. And in nearly 38 years of operation, or even the 39 years this year, we've only ever passed 36 casks by our tasting panel. We may have been offered up hundreds of casks and only 36 have passed. We may have been offered up 36 and all have passed. I don't know that number, but all I know is that that's the number of which it's passed the tasting panel. So I've poured just a very, about 30 mils in that glass there. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point there. Remove the remaining coloring that interferes with the pour, though. Yep. I can see that. I can see why that would be useful. So I'm going to let that open up for a moment in the glass. You know what? I went to a tasting just at the end of last year from a very good friend, Liam. If you're ever watching, and I know you do tune in sometimes, Liam bought every malt of the month from 2020. And then in December, he had some friends around and very graciously invited me around. And he opened all of the malt of the months. So he opened 13 bottles from all of last year's malt of the months. Fantastic afternoon exploring how good malt of the month is. And I just want to stress that for a second because I have sometimes seen a certain sentiment from some members going, oh, it's malt of the month. It must be a lesser quality because it's much more affordably priced. That is not the case at all. I can't stress that enough. Every single cask goes through the same rigorous judgment of tasting panel, whether it's 139 or 1139 a bottle. Like, it doesn't matter. They all go through the same rigorous testing and the same rigorous scoring system that is quite crucial to the society's level of quality of what we're putting into our green glass. And I know that sounds like one of those lines, but it's true. And the second thing I want to make mention of, which is pertinent from our chat with Ewan Campbell, is that there is no commercial incentive to bottle. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. There's no sort of like, oh, we have to bottle this cask because we need this cask to make numbers this month. That doesn't exist at the society either. That's not important to us. What's important is what we bottle is quality rather than we have to bottle this or, we have to get to it this month kind of thing. Let's have a look here. Some of the comments coming in. Is there a relation between this distillery and distiller number 2? That's a very good question because the distillery name in this one did change. It used to have distillery name of Glenlivet. Now it is, of course, just the distillery name. I don't know if I can get away with not saying this distillery name because, well, you know what? One of the little factoids about this distillery is quite fun is that it sort of technically shares the same equal highest elevation of any distillery in Scotland. Now, our cellar master, Andrew Durbridge, recently published a quiz, the ultimate yearly whiskey quiz on his on Whiskey and Wisdom. And I really encourage you to do that quiz. It's a tough one. My score, I think, was 23 out of 27, which apparently is very high, and I'm very happy with that score. And I know where I slipped up now, and it's frustrating, but because I want to, you always want to get the best score you possibly can, especially if you're competitive like I am. Now, however, I think one distillery pips out the other by, I think, 6 inches or something. Like it's an antenna or something on one of the distilleries that is slightly higher. Anyway, they're both extremely high elevation, both this distillery and Dalwhinnie Distillery, both very high elevation distilleries. A higher elevation distillery, generally you find a lighter, softer spirit in many ways. In the case of Dalwhinnie, they use worm tubs, which gives that spirit a slightly meatier, heavier character than I think this distillery. But that's very much a broad generalization. Pardon me. So Darren Howie says, cap off, but here's a suggestion. In the vertical color bar on the label, put in the flavor profile name. We have some variation in color on our labels, and it's hard to tell some apart. That's good feedback. I like that. I mean, you sort of get used to the colors. But I like that idea of putting the flavor profile maybe on the bottle somewhere. I mean, look, you've seen the bottle label change a few times over the years. There's always that sort of opportunity. Giving back to the members. Exactly, Matt. Really appreciate that. Mark Teague, did you say you would buy me a Vaults Collection bottling to celebrate my joining the SMWS? Yeah, by the way, big shout out to Justin Farmer, who's recently joined the society. We've seen an influx of new membership in January, people wanting to start their whiskey journey on the right foot throughout this year, which has been fantastic to see. So, Justin, welcome aboard again. I know I said that to you separately, but rumor has it Distillery 53 has never had a cask fail panel. That rumor's probably not true. No, there would have certainly been some that have failed panel. There would have been from every distillery, just about. And that's a matter of course. And there are, you know what, I have tasted whiskey from other bottlings from Distillery 53 that have been a little bit subpar. So I'm almost certain that some would have not passed panel. Noises a donkey makes of Glenlivet. We'll have to start associating every distillery with noises now instead. Oh, yeah, Justin Farmer, was a bonus code for that free Vaults Collection bottling. Did you not use it when you signed up? That's a shame. Darren says, hi, Justin, welcome. You know what? That's part of it. This is the community. Well, please welcome new members. It's always great to see newcomers coming to the society and their whiskey journey really kicking off. I've let that sit in the glass now for a few minutes. Let me talk a little bit more about this distillery. Like I say, equal highest elevation-ish. Yes, Andrew, if you want to pull me up on I can't remember, was it? It wasn't 6 feet. It may have been, no, it wouldn't have been 6 feet. It would have been like 6 inches or something, or 6 centimeters or something different. So it's a very small amount difference between the two in terms of elevation. But the fascinating story about this particular 113 distillery is that in the grand scheme of things, it's a fairly modern distillery, built in 1973 by a bloke named Edgar Bronfman. Edgar Bronfman Sr. Was the guy who sort of pursued. He's a Canadian-American businessman who worked at Seagram's. He was the CEO and chair of Seagram's at the time. The Bronfman family were a huge part of Seagram's. And the Seagram's story in itself as a group is one of huge success and then huge failure, and actually a fascinating story. Seagram's doesn't exist anymore as a company, and most of their assets sort of got split up around the place. But at the time, they owned, in fact, a lot of their assets got sold to Pernod Ricard, Diageo, Coca-Cola Company, a few others. And so where was I going with that? So the Bronfman family were on a pursuit because at the time they had Crown Royal, they had a few other brands like that. They were on a pursuit to what's the word for it? To really take on the biggest malt name at the time, which was Glenlivet. And they wanted to take on this distillery, and they called the distillery of Glenlivet. And so that was some of that history, which I won't go into right now, is fascinating because it just shows sort of this almost dogged determination to really win the game of Scotch whiskey. Of course, they never did, but it's a very modern distillery. It's fully automated these days. It's 2 wash stills into 4 spirit stills, so it's a bit of a different setup, but it's very automated in terms of its output, and it's still used as a backbone of many Chivas Regal product. So those who know their blending will know that Chivas 12, Chivas Extra, Chivas 14, 15, 18, 25. Look, I can't remember all the Chivas Regal products, of course, and they always change. Almost said it, distillery. Distillery 113 is an integral part of the Chivas family today, since that was one of the assets that was sold to Pernod Ricard around the year 2000. I'm going to say it could have been slightly earlier than that. Anyway, the fun part is that, however, is that you will never really see. I don't think there's any core range bottlings of this spirit. That's the first thing that's interesting. And secondly, you rarely see even any independently bottled releases of this. But however, you do sometimes see a society release, something a bit different, something a bit panel approved, and something a bit tasty. And in this case, a second fill bourbon barrel. So second fill only ever, distilled 2012, Speyside region, second fill bourbon barrel, 61.8%. Honey salad, it's called. That's really opened up actually in just the last sort of 10 minutes. Let me grab some of these comments whilst I'm having a nose. 9 meters higher, James says. You could be right, James. I can't remember the exact measurement. But I don't tend to focus too much on those kind of minute details when assessing or talking about a whiskey, because it doesn't tell me anything about the whiskey. Does that make sense? Like, oh, if there's a, like a meter difference between these two distilleries, and the water source is this much different from this one, that doesn't tell me how the end product will taste necessarily. But they are fun to talk about, those kind of things, because they're kind of like quirks, almost like quirks and features, if I'm to quote a Doug DeMuro. Yeah, that's right. This distillery is now owned by Pernod Ricard. That's right. It is still part of the Shivers family, which is part of Pernod Ricard. Any chance of a cask finished month? Would love an SMWS whiskey with a stout cask finish. Jesse, we recently just had our state manager meeting. And by recently, I mean yesterday, Sunday, we had our state manager meeting where we delved into some of the woods and cask treatments and in experimentation and innovation happening at the SMWS. And there's a lot of things happening. So you're probably going to see some very interesting cask finishes coming through soon, throughout this year even, which would be great. I would have got a 22 on the Whiskey and Wisdom 21 quiz, but you refused to call Glenfarclas delicious, hence only 20. You really shot yourself in the foot there. That's proper pride right there going on, Mark. That's some stubborn pride, and I like it. No, look, we all know what Andrew's favorite distillery is, and there's no escaping that. And that's the reality of it. Let's have a look here. Whilst I'm having a nose of this, this is what the distillery looks like. Nothing remarkable. It's a very modern distillery. Nothing very sort of. It's not. I wouldn't call it pretty. That pagoda roof is purely for show. But it's that's what it looks like from the outside. And where are we? And that's what it looks like from the inside. You can sort of make out there's the 4 spirit stills that have led off from the 2 wash stills in this case. And yeah, it's like I say, it's been a distillery. It's constantly grown in capacity. I think I'm getting that wrong. No, no, I'm sorry, I'm right. It is 4 spirit into 2 large wash. And yeah, and they're quite thin-necked stills. They're sloping upward line arms. So in other words, very little reflux. So it gets that, it generates a very light style floral kind of spirit. And like I say, rarely seen even as a single malt, let alone as a single cask, single malt. So let's have a nose of this. It's floral, but it's also quite biscuity, and I'm getting the honey on the nose straight away, like honey biscuits. What are those? What are those? Honey-O's? Are they called honey-O's? Arnott's honey-O's? Those kind of things. Oh wow. Ooh, that's big on the finish. That is a big finish. I really like that. That is very enjoyable indeed. Almost crushed herbs, honey biscuits, milk bottle lollies. Now, it's very grippy though. It's the second fill is just adequate, is just perfect. Pardon me. In this instance, it's very it's really lifting that spirit quality right up. Speaking of stout cask, Matt Bailey, Whiskey and Almond is starting Name That Cask. I need to know about this, or is this something that I've already set up? You tell me. Justin Farm, must be that amazing internet you have. You know what? Given how late that comment is, it might be your amazing internet. Zing. That was good. I like that. It's a very grippy on the palate. I'm going to add a few drops of water from my little society carafe here. As I said, I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of pipettes, but I do like just a water carafe. It feels a bit more informal, feels a bit more enjoyable. Wow. The salad note, like a fresh green salad comes out with the water. Pink lollies, fairy floss. Almost a fresh cinnamon sticks, a little bit of fresh cinnamon. That palate's fantastic with a few drops of water, and still rich and very powerful. Still powerful, Quimot, Thibaut Quimont it's the resident Frenchman. It's my favorite Frenchman, Thibaut. Welcome back, Thibaut. Looking forward to catching up with you soon, mate. Hope you all happy New Year. And Zach McHardy, hope you're enjoying our amazing Taz internet on your visit. Yeah, well, there you go. Oh, the beer cask from early last year. Yeah, well, that's yeah, okay, yep. I got you. I know where you're up to now. I know where we're up to. All good. Sorry, that some context there was needed. Oh, yeah, very like just an incredible spirit quality. And if you sort of liken it to that realm of, I've said before, of yes, good to see you, mate. Thibaut, good to see you as well. Whiskey and wine soon, as he says. Yeah, if you just liken it to sort of that very, it's got guts. It's got a real sort of sense of like thick spirit quality. The mouthfeel is fantastic on it. It's a very welcoming and thick mouthfeel. It's very honeyed. Those honey biscuits, fairy floss, but it's got a lightness to it as well. White meringues, lovely sweetness. That second fill barrel coming through just fantastically. I'm getting a phone call through my phone right now from Scott Mansfield, our Queensland state manager, who must not realize I'm live right now, so I'm not going to answer that. Scott, sorry, I'll call you back. But yeah, it's one of those spirits that just shines in a second fill ex-bourbon barrel. The bourbon barrel influence hasn't overwhelmed. It's lovely. It's lovely. It's truly lovely. And it's definitely in the juicy oak and vanilla. The oakiness is that grippiness on the finish, and the vanilla is that sweetness from the bourbon barrel. It's just fantastic. Floral notes coming through right on the end now after I've tasted it, really just flowing on the end there. So it's light, but it's like if you're able to taste these light and these brisk summer sort of spirits, but at a higher proof, they carry a whole different meaning rather than being at 40%. Can you start again, Matt? I had to go sing Wheels on the Bus, so I missed your tasting notes. Thanks. It's all right, Justin. You can rewind. But in a nutshell, I was just saying that we get these almost like honey-o cereal notes. And there is a lovely cereal note coming through there. Actually, now that I say it, especially on the nose, there's a lovely cereal note, which is I love in a whiskey. I love being able to taste the spirit quality of what's going on in my glass. I've talked about that at length before, but it's got a lovely sort of fresh cereal note, pink biscuits, fairy floss, cinnamon sticks, tiniest bit of sandalwood. Bit of menthol, tiny bit of menthol, tiny bit of earthiness. That earthiness, that grain earthiness that you get from a good spirit. Lovely stuff, truly lovely stuff. And the fact that that's a malt of the month as well. I will probably get one myself, I'll be honest, because that's really enjoyable. That's a really enjoyable drop. So even slightly bready. The cereal note's almost like a bread, like a rye note. Not rye, so like a rye bread, but like maybe a cob. Maybe a cob instead. There we go. Wheels on the Bus has become here at the Society. We tend to prefer 100 bottles of booze in the hall. James Caden, you're not wrong. So this is what I wanted to just mention about this going on tonight is that this issue of Outturn has some great stuff in it. It has the summer mix-up article about how to have a bit of fun with your spirit. It has the Vaults Collection Virtual, which I've teased before, which is the 5 whiskeys, all 30 years plus Vaults Collection releases. That is going to be pretty popular, so I'm not going to talk about that too much, but it is 5 of the extremely rare, like very rare stocks from the Society's vaults right there. And it's a very special Outturn, this one. I'm going to go back to my Outturn page. Here we are. And where are we? Matt, can you sing Wheels on the Bus for us while Justin replays and catches up? Yeah, it's very tempting, but maybe next time. I don't think I've really got the Wheels on the Bus singing John Jarvis lullabies on Zoom, so you'll go to sleep again, Justin. John Jarvis lullabies. John Jarvis from Hobart Distillery. We love you. And Bailey, before you head off, can you drop some insight into the Melbourne event, please? Price, anything special coming with you? Yes, I can. The full details for the Melbourne event on 27th of March are on our website under events. The tickets go on sale this Wednesday. It's the Melbourne Whiskey Cruise. If you live even remotely within Victoria, you should go to the Melbourne Whiskey Cruise. First of all, We've got music, we've got food, we've got a 3-hour cruise, we've got bottomless beers, we've got a full selection of new whiskies that are just landing at the moment. I'm going to be bringing some really special drops with me to share around for members in Melbourne, and it's $120 a ticket for members. That's absurd. That's a full cruise, all food, beer, everything provided for $120 a ticket for members. $165 for non-members, I think. You can still come as a non-member, but it's really worth membership just for that discount alone. And Jesse Morgan says, looking to get a peat forward smoke beast of a dram from SMWS, looking for the experience of tongue kissing a chain smoker on the roof of a burning barn. Oh, Jesse, you've got it. I love your way with words. You are a modern day poet. Jesse, you know what I would look at? I would look at 16.46, the Texas barbecue brisket in the February Outturn. Whew. And I would look at there's the Blackadder Cosmic TARDIS in Outturn as well. That would be fantastic. The 93.143. But if you want something really like peat forward, yeah, Texas barbecue brisket, 16.46. That Recharred Hoggy from Distillery 16 is a no-brainer. Question is it a token like Christmas 19? No, it's not. It's just, we'll just share around the whiskeys until we run out. Everyone will get a chance to taste everything. Don't worry. We'll have enough whiskey to share around. It's very informal in that regard. We're not looking to do tokens or anything like that. It just complicates it, I think, unnecessarily a little bit. Pardon me. A piece of hair. That bit of hair just won't stick, will it? So that's all I want to share with you. A little bit of insight into this fantastic modernish distillery from Scotland. 113.36 Honey Salad is in February Outturn, is Malt of the Month for February Outturn. Really appreciate you tuning in, having a chat about this whiskey, having a bit of an informal catch up tonight on Monday night for live. Outturn goes live this Friday at midday Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So make sure I'm gonna do another live stream this week, but which will be the main tips of how to score what you're after on Outturn. In fact, speaking of which, there is an article on our website right now, just under news, which explains all of that as well. So if you want to check that out, you can do that. That was just published today. In the meantime, I hope you all have a fantastic Monday night. I hope you all have a great week ahead. And I hope to see you all possibly tomorrow night. Anyway, see you all soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and Slàinte mhath.